Hey, it's me again. Well, you all know when I get a chance to shoot videos, especially with the taking care of my grandkids and everything, I got to take the chance while I got it. So, the next knife I'd like to bring to you is a Scrade 17-15. Now, the blade itself is marked SCP-17-15. Now, we'll sans with the knife for right now. Let's take a look at the sheath. Now, the sheath, you get a nice corridor sheath. Camel stitching around the outside. Your typical cheap retention webbing strap. This is a really cheap knife. I mean, really cheap. And there's some kind of little balls falling out of the sheath. I don't know. So anyway, you get a generous belt loop, and it's stitched and riveted on the one side here where the blade edge is on. The other side's just stitched. So that's the thing they tell you to put your knife in. I don't consider it a sheath. Sheath is supposed to protect me too. So let's get to the knife. Now this is like a discontinued model, but they're still all over the place. So this is the 17-15 SCP. Now they say this is a mini machete. It's got an 8.5 or an 8 3/4 inch blade, made of 3 CR13. So, 420 or 440. It's got a really nice swedge up front, right here. Now, to be a machete, I want some weight on the blade. This thing weighs about 3 ounces. It's a really nice knife, but it is no mini machete. As far as, sharpness is concerned, it's not even breaking hair off, so it's your typical Scrade. When I used to review for Scrade, they'd come through. Some of them would be razors. Some of them you couldn't cut doo-doo with. But I do like the blade. It's got a slight recurve to it. Nice little belly up here. It's got a really nice distal taper on its tip, which is unusual for a Scrade, but the very tip has got a burr that goes this way. So that wasn't fun. The blade is real thin. It's only 1/8 inch stock. It's 1.5 inches wide. And you can see the grind lines. As far as the choil here to choke up on, you don't have one. Unless you want to, go right up on the dull blade. They do have a hole here for whatever reason. And there's a little, lump there for jimping, which is either really hurts or doesn't work. So if you press into it, it hurts. If you don't, it doesn't work. Nice black and silver blade, though. It has a pretty nice add to it. Now the grips on here. Years ago, it used to be TPE, which was like a rubber, hard rubber. These are just polymer plastic grips, scales, whatever you want to call them. Now there's some really nice contouring, if you can see there. There's some really nice contouring to it, which doesn't do much for it. This little sub hilt, or whatever you want to call it, if you put your hand where it belongs, you really don't have any swinging control. If you put your hand where it needs to go to have control of the blade, this thing is hitting you in the second finger, and it's really uncomfortable. Now back here, you do have enough room to get a good swing at, or if you go in like an okay grip, Felt like it's moving in the handle. So anyway, if you go back here in the old K-grip, you got a lot of leverage. But this stuff is really slick. So, it's a nice camo pattern anyway. But it's held in by 3 Allen set screws. Lanyard hole in the back. Now this up here on top, this is some deep cut jimping right into the polymer. It cuts into you. I don't like that whatsoever. And it's the fact that it's polymer, you're going to get some shock value out of it. I do like the fact that it's a good looking knife. Like the price right now on Grindworks is $14.99. It's a discontinued model. So if you want something like this, get over to Grindworks, $14.99, they'll ship it to your door. Let's see what it'll do on feathers, because I'm not really expecting a whole lot. And it's surprising the hell out of me at this point. You got some feathers with just the tip. Middle blade. You got some feathers with middle blade, back blade. You got some feathers with the back blade, so if the geometry was off on it, I wouldn't get feathers. So let's turn the camera around here. We'll see about doing some chopping and whatnot. I'm gonna put you on pause. Okay. So we've got yonder piece of wood. This is a mini machete. So let's take a few good hard shots at it. Yeah. I swear to God, something loose in here. I can feel something moving every time I hit it. So, well, it does chop. It's actually surprising me because there's a bit of an edge. Up here at the tip, there's a pretty decent edge. So that hard oak stump we got that much from a hard downward stab. That burr seems to be gone now. But a lot. It's crazy as it seems, this is not sharp. This is really light, but dang, that's almost. That's like right below that line, just a little. I mean, I didn't swing hard. You can see it right there. I didn't swing hard. It just. And there is a lot of shock coming through this handle. Now, I'm not going to do the Donnie B all day dropper throwing test because this is really light. This is really hard, and I'm really fragile. So I'm just not going to do it. But yeah, that's kind of amazing, really. See what we can do here. Let's see if it becomes. Don't even like the sound of the way that blade hits. Sounds so cheap. Nope, ain't going any further with it. You can't hang on to this blade. It just... There's no way to stop it from turning in your hand. It's got rough edges on it. I don't like it whatsoever. So, I'll get the camera readjusted here. It is what it is. I mean, it's... If you like big I like big butts and I cannot. So anyway, if you like big blades, and you're looking for something to throw on your pack for light chopping duty, and, you know, survival, you know, it did what you need to do. I can't let dry your ferro rod off it because it's got a rounded spine on it. But you can always use the down of the blade here. You're not really ever going to use really this part of the blade. You know, most people when they cut here, they're not going to cut right here. So if you use an inch of the blade to strike your ferro rod because you have to, then you have to. But I'll tell you what though, this swedge on the tip is sharp enough for a ferro rod. The burr's gone off the tip. So if you're looking for something like this, like I said, for just a you know, a camp knife, camping knife even, for 14 bucks, it's really surprising. You are going to get some shock out of this handle, and don't expect to hang on to it great unless you have some gloves on or something. The blade does need to be sharpened on this one in particular. See that dull spot right here? There's a tiny fold over on the edge right there. Hear it? I was wondering. But hey, you know, for 14 bucks, what do you expect? This is not a, you know, cold steel or anything like that. But hey, like I said, if you want a good camp knife, you've seen what it can do. You can chop your tent stakes. I'm sure any knife in a, you know, Sasquatch self-defense position will work. The lightness of the knife, you're not going to get much in. You're not going to get much inertia from the blade, but for the lightness of the blade, you can get it swinging fast enough to do some damage. I gotta figure out what that looseness is, because the scales are not loose, but when I chop, I can feel it bouncing. So that's the Scrade SCP-17-15. Like I said, it'd make a good camp knife, it'd make a good backup knife. For 14 bucks, you could throw some of these in your kits all over the place. It doesn't bend. It is a hollow grind. So, 6-inch handle, 8 3/4 inch blade. I personally myself would say buy it, but remember what you're buying. You're not buying a main blade. You're buying a backup, a camp, put in the backpack in case you lose one type knife. So this is Tom. I want to thank you for your time and your patience. If you liked the video, let me know. You know, leave some comments. I love comments. And we'll see you next time on Measuring Blade. No, not that. We'll see you next time for another knife review.